Welcome to your Joyful Life Podcast, Episode 8, A Skeptic's Guide to Being Gooder. Today, we're going to, the last few episodes we've been talking about stories, and we're going to take a break from that. And I thought we would talk about, you've mentioned a phrase a few times, which is sort of your goal, or sort of how you orient yourself, which is to be gooder.
Yes.
And I have my own version of that that's not as weird sounding, but why don't we start with explaining what be gooder means and where that comes from?
Yeah. Be gooder, gooderness. Where it sort of came from was looking out into the world and seeing that there's a whole bunch of crappy stuff going on.
Sure.
And there seems to be a lot of crappy stuff going on all the time. Like we don't all, depending on the lens you're looking through, it doesn't seem like we're learning a whole lot. A lot
right. There's no period where you're like, everything's good right now.
It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
And then of course, statistically the world is in a better place now than it has ever been. So, but back to the gooderness, or goodness, gooder. It's, it occurred to me that the way forward is that we all just have to get gooder. So I guess I was searching for an answer to, how we can improve the world, how we can continue to make the world a better place, how we can continue to become better versions of ourselves and thereby create a better version of the world. And gooderness is what came up. Goodness came up. We just have to keep getting gooder. And one of the things that I really like about this idea of getting gooder is it feels to me as though it is happening, that over generations, we're moving towards something that looks better, looks gooder. And this process of expansion of the universe and us in it, and everything that expansion of consciousness or expansion of the universe holds within it is summed up by we're getting gooder. So I have a lot of faith in this idea that as a species, we are moving, our evolution is towards towards something better, towards gooder. That was a bit convoluted. It's hard for me to articulate, but it sort of captures a personal ethos of mine, which is all I'm ever trying to do is be gooder. I don't like better. Better is like, oh, I'm improving skills. Yeah, I do that in some places, right? Gooder felt really holistic to me. It felt very encompassing. We like goodness. Like, who doesn't want more goodness in the world? Who doesn't want to feel more goodness within themselves? So this idea that we can both strive as an intention to be gooder, and the universe, the cosmology of our experience is pulling us towards goodness. So I'm kind of marrying those two things. I don't know if it's a happy marriage or not yet. Maybe I'm forcing two things together that don't actually fit. But it just, getting gooder just seemed like it to me, it brings a lot of compassion to the table. Like, in its root is we're trying our best. We're all always trying our best, and, berating this or correcting that, or it doesn't help bring out the good in anyone. It doesn't help contribute to goodness. So that, yeah, there's just this sort of strong feeling that we are evolving towards gooder versions of ourselves, and it's something that we can actively participate in through our intention, but also something that is just happening. I believe that this movement towards gooderness, or becoming gooder, is built into the fabric of our existence. We can't but work. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We can't but become gooder. We can hold it back, with our intellect or with or lack of intellect, depending on how we want to look at
Right.
that. But so this idea of gooder, of goodness, of becoming gooder is both something to hold. I'll use one of your terms here. I hold it as my North Star. It is what pervades everything I do. And I fail at it miserably often enough to remind me that, yes, pursuing this is a good thing.
Right.
Right. So yeah, something about this, it's just like, it makes it, I don't know, there's something about it just makes it easy. Like, it's not self-improvement. It's not working at, it's intention, and it's my stand is for one of my stands is for the gooderness of the world. And I don't know, it feels like something easy to hold that can pull you towards more gooderness. What do you hear in all of that?
Yeah, a couple things. So one of the things, and I don't think I've heard you explain it this way before. When I heard you use the word gooder before, it was sort of coming from you. It was a thing you were being or aspiring to. Mm-hmm. I don't think what I heard before was what you were explaining was sort of the other side, that like the universe is sort of pulling in this direction. So both Buddhism and the yoga I study both have the belief that our sort of purpose here on earth in this incarnation is to evolve, and we are all evolving towards that point where we sort of don't have to keep coming back here. Right. So like earth and these lives that we have, and they both believe in reincarnation, these lives that we have are like school, and we are trying to we keep coming back and, going up in grade level, learning whatever lessons we need to until we get to a point where we don't have to do that anymore. Right. And so the assumption is we all get there, right? You can actively orient yourself towards that path. And I would say sort of these types of explorations are doing that. Meditating is doing that. There's all sorts of ways you can evolve. And there are some people who, for whatever reason, in this particular instance, are not pointed in that direction, and they're going to focus on their family or their career or sports or whatever. Like, they're learning their own lessons. Everybody's doing their own thing, but everybody gets there eventually, even the worst people you can think of. Mm-hmm. So there's this sort of inevitability that we're all going to get to this wonderful place.
Right. Yeah.
And at the same time, we can take a stand and orient ourselves towards that. You mentioned North Star. So North Star is sort of the term that I have loosely been thinking about. Like, how am I orienting my life when I have to decide what's important or make decisions? And some version, I've played with different words, but some version of like, know God in every moment, right? Or sort of feel that connection to source, however you want to think about that. And I'm still, this is an evolving concept, but my North Star is not have as much power as possible, or make as much money as possible, or travel as much as I want to do those, not the power, but money's good, travel's good, play is good, all of that is good. But what is really, really important to me is being oriented towards this path. And so gooder resonates. I like having a new word that you can just define however you want without the constraints of an old word. So that's sort of what I hear. So I appreciate the sort of, I think you said push and pull of, I get to push myself this way. The universe is rooting for me. Sort of pulling me in and cheering me on. And it does help. Actually, let me ask, how does the idea of being gooder sort of manifest itself in your day-to-day? Like, how do you notice it changing your experience?
No, that's a good question. So counterintuitively, perhaps, but it's most noticeable when I'm not doing it.
Okay.
Right. So I've been oriented in this way for so long now that it almost second nature is not the right way to describe it necessarily, but it's most obvious in its absence, right? Like if I'm in some kind of a conflict or some kind of an argument or some kind of a misunderstanding, that's when I notice that I'm not aligned with gooderness. Sometimes it helps pull me out. Sometimes it doesn't, that human thing. But I think it just manifests as as an aspiration.
Okay.
It's what sort of underpins everything that I want out of life. I just want to be gooder, and that encompasses, gooder as a parent, gooder as a husband, gooder as a friend, gooder as a son, and I think when something like gooderness or gooder becomes a focus, or, the North Star, it can't help but have positive implications. It ripples outward. I think setting that intention towards gooderness has made me a better conversationalist. It's made me more outgoing. It's made me more interested in other people. It's made me more curious. It makes me more likely to have a silly conversation with a cashier in a store.
Right.
Like it's really, it's lent itself to an openness that when I think back sort of before that kind of galvanized as my MO, the contrast is quite stark actually, but maybe that's for a different conversation. So as a manifestation, like gooderness just feels like, a bookend to happiness. We all want to be happy. Gooderness is my way to just be happy, to be okay with things, to have a short memory about things that are discombobulating when they're discombobulating. Like it's just, like a bit of a segue here, but when it was starting to come into my thinking, this idea of gooder, was really looking at how history repeats itself.
Okay.
Right. So maybe it was a little bit later. It might have been, first year university in there when I started studying political science, that I started to see trends that were just kind of repeating. If we look at history, it's sort of the same thing.
Yep.
It looks a little different here, it looks a little different there, but it's kind of the same thing happening over and over and over again. And what I noticed is that we're always trying to solve for this stuff. We as humans are trying to solve these things that I guess I landed with, we can't really solve. We just have to trust something.
Okay.
Right. And I think that trust, that might be the bridge. I hadn't thought about it this way before, but gooderness might be that bridge. Right. It was my way of looking at the world and saying, okay, well, what we're doing isn't working. There has to be something I can trust here. And the thing that I can trust is, my own intention setting, the intention that I set of how I want to live my life. And then I can hold the belief that, the universe is pulling us towards something better. I know I'm repeating myself a little bit there, but it's that I was looking out into the world and like, we keep doing the same thing. We keep repeating the same mistakes. We keep trying to solve these things. We keep trying to, there has to be something more at play here than just our intellectual efforts to fix things,
Yeah. What I was reminded of, a couple things. One was, I think it's an Einstein quote, is that something like, I feel like I should have a reference here for quotes I butcher on this podcast, but something like the tools you use to solve a problem can't be the same ones that created it.
Right. Yeah.
So you need, there's sort of a dimensionality to
it's the
thinking
level of
and problems.
You can, I think the upshot is that it required the problem we create. You can't solve the problem from the same level of consciousness from which it was created.
Yes, exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's a dimensionality to, like, if you're operating at this level and you create the problems, you're just going to create, perpetuating whatever's happening by trying to solve it at this level. And so you have to kind of rise above it. And one of the, there's a rabbi, or I guess an ex-rabbi, Mark Gaffney, who is somewhat problematic on a personal history. If you Google him, he's had some issues, but an interesting person to listen to. And what he talks about is that as a species, we have to develop a shared story of value. And I guess his basic idea is that sort of the universe as a whole is kind of love actualizing itself.
Right.
And if you can orient to that, and I would say that's quite similar in different words to gooder, is if we can buy into that the acceptance of that idea solves a lot of problems. It removes the idea that I'm better than someone else.
Right.
It develops a lot of compassion, again, because I'm not judging people. I don't have to put people down to feel better about myself. I don't have to raise myself up, in a power structure to control people, to protect myself against things that I'm scared of.
Right. Yeah.
Right. There's the sense that, there is love or something like that. And I think the reason history keeps repeating itself is because we don't have that shared set of values. And it's interesting to think about, like, religion tries to give you that.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to point out, like, oh, there's a religion that says everything is love, the kingdom of heaven is here, and, love thy neighbor. And there's plenty of examples where people who ostensibly believe that
claim to
acted pretty poorly. And that's not to pick on one religion over another. Every system's got their examples. So maybe that just points to the imperfect nature of humans when they get into groups or something. I don't know. But
right.
I think the point is that, so like the stand you take on being good, or, the way I think about a North Star, having that, we can't solve for civilization as a whole as much as we'd love to snap our fingers. But I think there's something to be said for more people having that attitude and approaching problems from that space. And it doesn't mean you just sit back and there's a frequent criticism of Buddhism where, like, oh, whatever is, and you just turn into a doormat. And like, that's a misunderstanding.
Right.
Of the you still get out there and act in the world, but it means when you're confronted with someone who disagrees with you or who you disagree with, the place you come from can be one of compassion and respect while still disagreeing and still sort of fighting for the outcome that you want. I don't think those are mutually exclusive, but anyway, that's what came up, that sort of reorienting to that shared system of values that points to something better or higher or more positive, is that kind of dimensional jump in consciousness. I don't know how to get there other than at a personal level, but.
Well, I think that's maybe what more is there than exploring that from the personal level, right? I mean,
demanding it of everyone else before you do it.
Yeah, right. Which is so easy to do. It's your fault. I like that I think the world would be a better place if more people shared the story of, whatever their version of, I just want to get gooder.
Yeah.
And there's no selfishness in it. Like when I'm at my goodest, as I'm sure when you're oriented towards your North Star, the people around you benefit. And I think the more people that, embrace this idea of not being the best that they can be, but embrace this idea of goodness or wholeness or completeness, whatever the whatever works for you. It's got to ripple out, man. It's like, I sort of see it as, one person at a time, or like a whole bunch of light bulbs going on, right? Okay, I can't really do anything about it over there, but I can do something about it over here. I can orient myself towards something that feels to me like it's gooder for me.
Right.
If I do that and my light goes on and you do that and your light goes on, and over time these lights just keep going on. Because I think, again, what I said earlier, I think people inherently just want to be happy. I mean, fundamentally, who does, like, what do you want? I want to be happy. Okay, well, to me, those things are closely linked.
Yeah.
If all of us embrace that and really believed in the possibility of goodness or happiness, then I think compassion is right there. You'd be able to look at someone, as you sort of suggest. You know what I heard in what you're saying is you can agree without, or disagree without making wrong, right? Okay, this person is behaving this way, or that leader is behaving this way. Maybe there is some truth, despite how it looks overtly, that they're doing the best they can from where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can bring our own goodness to that lens, maybe it opens up a way to be a bit more compassionate.
Yeah.
I'm stretching because I really want things to be different.
Yeah, I think,
there's too much bloodshed and silliness going on in the world, man.
Yeah, and I think there's, again, the idea of like, I always sort of bristle a little bit, like I have a little bit of resistance to they can be wrong and it'd be okay.
Right.
Because like if somebody is actively hurting someone, we're not saying, I don't think you're saying like, oh, that's just their truth. Let them,
no,
light fires or whatever it is. But it's saying like, okay, we have rules and laws in place. Stop the person from doing that thing.
It's not an abdication of personal responsibility, and
right,
and
or
and
social responsibility.
Yeah. No, I don't mean that. It's not a free for all. I'm just being good. This is my version of good.
Yeah, this is my truth. Yeah, who are you? Yeah.
No, and I think that deep down, this is something we all share, and we would nuance it differently. Different cultures would nuance it differently. Different religions would nuance it differently. But I think, in the heart of us, there's this desire to just be happy and be at peace. And I mean, I want the best for the people that I meet. I want the best for everyone. And I hope that people want the best for me. And, sometimes I don't act on that very well. And that's a reality that I have to deal with as well. Okay. Yeah. Not doing so well at this right now. And I think that, it's important that, that be okay too. I think that's how we learn.
Yeah. I think the awareness of that, I was thinking that just once you have that North Star, like you said before about like, you notice it more when you're not doing it.
Yeah.
I had a small experience of this yesterday. I was buying a plane ticket for the family in the summer, putting all details in and all that. And then my wife came and sat down beside me to like check. And
as they do,
she was right too. There was a couple mistakes, so it was good. But the second she sat down, before she noticed anything, my entire energy state changed because she doesn't trust me.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to get criticized.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. I should be able to do this by myself. Why does she feel the need? Like all these things. And I knew in the moment, it was one of those moments of clarity. I knew in the moment that if I said anything, it was going to ruin both of our days.
Right.
And luckily, like fortunately in the situation, while she was reading, she didn't say anything that I had to respond to. And so I had this blessed moment to just sit and accept sort of the energy pattern moving around. It had nothing to do with her. This was entirely me caught up in some pattern and
some story.
Yeah, some story.
Yeah.
And just noticing that. And I wasn't really thinking about North Star at the time or, gooder, but there was an impulse to kind of defend myself against this perceived slight, right, which didn't exist.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe 10 seconds, in the time it took her to read the screen, I processed that. And then there was nothing to do.
Right.
And I think the reason I like the North Star, the reason sort of North Star resonates with me is if I didn't have that, the only thing I would have had would have been responding to that sensation because what else, there's nothing else going on. Having that
absolutely
as a framework, like, I want to be happy in this moment. I want her to be happy in this moment. I don't want my kids to come home and they're fighting again, right? There's no positive outcome from responding to that random energy pattern. So having something to orient yourself
Yeah, absolutely.
towards is a really good guidance system. We've talked before about how sort of feelings are GPS. Like I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Responding to that not good feeling would have just made everything worse.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just a very small, that was a 10-second experience, but
Well,
it points to something, I think.
yeah, and the fact that you can catch it sometimes and miss it other times doesn't mean good or bad. It just means the possibility of reorientation.
Yeah, I think it's just an
Right.
opportunity to, it's
Yeah.
like standing at a batting cage and yeah, you're going to miss some, but
Yeah,
it's just
that's right.
the next ball's coming.
Here comes another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like every, I think these what I hear and what you're describing is that these opportunities occur at the speed of thought.
Yes.
That the opportunity to reorient towards a North Star or to reorient towards gooder are endless and infinite. And we're going to get them wrong sometimes, and that's okay. But I think having that orientation and you don't have to declare it or anything like that. You don't have to get on a mountaintop or, I guess you could if you wanted to, or a soapbox. But having something that orients you, I feel is a good thing,
Yeah.
right? Like something that anchors you in who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world, who you want to be for people. And you're going to fuck it up sometimes because that human part of you, that intellect, that ego, however we want to describe our psychology, is going to mess things up from time to time.
Sure, yeah.
We'll fall prey to our stories, right? We'll be victimized by our stories rather than being creators of our stories. So, the fact that we're getting do-overs
Right.
that fast is pretty cool,
Yeah. One thing I was thinking of is we had our dad's meeting yesterday, and one of the guys there was
League
talking
of Ordinary Gentlemen.
League of Ordinary Gentlemen.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the guys there he's mentioned several times about one of his I don't know if he would call it a fear. He mentioned he needs approval at work. Like it's something that he's
Right,
actively
right.
looking for. And when he doesn't get it,
Recognition,
when there's, a slight at work or something, someone else gets recognized and he doesn't, like, he feels that really deeply. And one of the things we were talking about, you had to leave early. One of the things we were talking about after was when the same thing comes up over and over again. That's sort of the universe, like knocking at the window saying, hey, this, like, you need to learn this lesson, and we're going to keep putting the same thing in front of you until you do. So maybe as a way to wrap up here, it might be difficult to sort of notice this in every part of your life, but if you can find a pattern, one trigger that you have that comes up frequently, right? You drive and, like, the way drivers behave bothers you every time, or whatever that thing is. Start small if you can. Like, if you can notice that one thing, it's easier to apply yourself to that one thing, because our brains are really good at looking for patterns. So if you can identify a pattern that happens, your brain will get really quick at picking it up. And in my experience anyway, it makes it much easier to have that experience of noticing the pattern starting. And then if you have that orientation to be good, or however you want to frame that, just orient yourself to something higher, you'll just notice it happening a lot more often. And like you always say, have some grace with yourself, be gentle.
Be gentle with yourself. Have a sense of humor about it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess as we close off, what's our invitation? Do we have an invitation for people? What would it be?
I think if people haven't thought about this before, like, we don't have a sort of strong culture of, morals and values, and, we used to. That used to be like a thing that we taught. It doesn't really happen anymore.
Right.
So if you haven't thought about it before, and this resonates a bit, find your own, whether it's gooder or North Star or orientation, or how, find your own word and just kind of commit, maybe gently commit to that as something you want to align yourself to, and then notice when you're not doing it.
Yeah. I know that we've talked around, I've used the word stand before that I got from Martha, right? Like, what do you want to stand for? What do you want to stand for in the world? I think that's an interesting exploration for it has been for myself, right? What do you want to stand for? So yeah, good place to start.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Thanks
everyone.
everyone. That's episode 8 in the can,
Done.
as they say.
Yes. We don't have cans anymore. But,
No, we
there
don't
used to
have
be
cans anymore. That's Evan. I'm Mike.
See you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for joining.